Looks good. Looks like it's working. Got a new router that I am testing tonight. For whatever reason, the last router. So here at the warehouse, I've been working the last couple of weeks. You know, I have a normal job. This isn't what I do. And I'm very thankful that my company allows me to work remote. You don't have to go into the warehouse during this weird time. So I am working remote, and they don't care where I work so long as I'm working. So I have this office set up so that I can work from the office while I have people in the warehouse packing orders and putting wheels together and packaging frames and things like that. For whatever reason, the router that came with the cable company that they gave us, it just drops like all the time. And I'll be on a meeting and it just disconnects for no reason. So I got a new router. Unfortunately, it's been so busy this week with the new wheels coming in and trying to ship all that stuff out. I haven't had a chance to install it, but I did tonight. So if anything drops, it's probably because of the router. If anything looks great, it's probably because of the router. We're using it tonight. I haven't tested it. I haven't done anything with it. It actually has the SSID of test, so I know which one it is. But fingers crossed that everything looks good. It seems like it's looking okay here. We'll see. Anyway, hey everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to Gear Talk episode 68. Gear Talk is the show that I do every other week where I talk about the geekier side of rollerblading. We talk about 58, 60, 56, 65, 62. If those numbers mean anything to you, you've come to the right place. We talk about weird things that you might not have mentioned back in the days when all you wanted to do was just skate and grind and do sole grinds and front sides all day. We get down and dirty with it, and we talk about what the difference in wheel hardness is, which wheel profile is best for how you skate, and all that sort of geeky stuff. If this is the sort of information that you like, we do this live on YouTube every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do it live, so that means that there are comments throughout the show. If anybody has a question during the show about something that I'm talking about, if something that I'm talking about brings up a great question, or if you've got that one thing that you've never been able to get an answer to and you've just always wondered about skating, please let me know. We would love to have you in the live chat. There's usually a few dozen people hanging out in the live chat talking about whatever I'm talking about or whatever they want to talk about. If you have a question for me, please make sure that you tag Back to Blading in it so that I can see it. Typically with the conversation, it's hard to keep up. So I want to make sure that I can see your questions just at Back to Blading. It'll show up with a little orange line around it, so I'll be able to see it. I do want to answer your questions. I usually stick around until all the questions are answered, and I can do that tonight. So if you have a question, please feel free to throw it in the chat anytime. I will ask for questions a couple of times throughout the show. Before I get started, a huge thank you to the helmetinitiative.org for helping us with a helmet giveaway. If you haven't learned already, I'm a huge proponent of wearing your helmet when you skate. I think it's super important to protect your head. I think your head is the one piece of your body that if it gets banged up, it could be deadly. And I don't want anybody out there to have a serious injury because they're not wearing their helmet and not be able to skate, not be able to provide for their families. It can be really bad. So I ask that you take out a little bit of insurance, get yourself a helmet. $50 is usually how much helmets run, give or take. You want to make sure that you get a nice certified helmet. I usually support Triple Aid. I think Triple Aid is a great company that gives back to inline. There are plenty of good companies out there. That just happens to be the brand that I usually use. They run around $50, and I do understand that right now it's more difficult to justify a $50 helmet than it is to justify a $50 cell phone bill. Or if you're, strapped for cash right now, wheels are expensive. If you get good wheels and bearings, that'll run you back, about $50. If you get a helmet, you still can't skate if you don't have wheels and bearings. So I totally understand that. If this is you, if you find yourself in a financially strapped situation, we would love to help. We're going to be giving away 2 helmets from tonight's episode. All you have to do is watch the episode. I'm going to put a link in the chat. It's easy enough to go to backtoblading.com/helmet. That link will be live for the rest of the night, so you can watch anytime up until midnight Eastern, or probably the next morning. To be honest, I probably won't stay up until midnight to turn it off. So anytime you watch this before I turn it off, please put in your information. I would love to give you a helmet. Giving away 2 helmets this week. The reason why we could do this helmet giveaway is twofold. One, the helmetinitiative.org has been generous and provided us a bunch of helmets to give away. So they are a nonprofit that tries to get more helmets to people that need them. Couldn't do this without their support. So thank you so much to the Helmet Initiative. The second is the Patreon. So we are able to fund the shipping of these helmets out to people, thanks in part due to the Patreon. We do have a Patreon. Go to Back2Blading, or patreon.com/backtoblading. We have a lot of unique, interesting content there. I think it's interesting. You also help support the reviews and the Helmet Initiative. So if you've got $1 a month, if you aren't in a situation where you're totally cash strapped, that is a good way to support the channel, support all the things that we're doing with Back2Blading. And thank you already if you are a Patreon supporter. I really appreciate it. Getting more helmets out to people, I think, is a very smart thing. We need to make sure that we have more people skating. That means we need to also protect the people who are currently skating, keep them engaged and keep them alive. So the more people that we can have wearing helmets, the better. Thank you all so much for participating and supporting it. And yeah, really, really appreciate it. So a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, we've been super busy the last couple of weeks. You saw that the compass frames came in. I shared those. We just got our first shipment of the China Wire Stall Chroma wheels in. If you haven't seen them yet, I have a pack right here. This is actually the last pack in the warehouse. Take that back. There's a box that is waiting to get picked up. So there are some sets in a box. They haven't shipped out yet. This is the last pack in the warehouse that is not in a box. Technically it's in the box, but you can see through this box. You can't see that through that box because it's going to UPS. These are China's first pro wheel with chroma. So they are a 58mm 88A. They come in this beautiful box designed by Jeremy Bytall. This is the wheel. They are an amazing, almost like a Tiffany blue, like a retro kind of blue. It's always hard to do color matching, I guess. So we were planning on the wheel color to be the same blue that's in the packaging. As you can see, this looks so much better. So this is like a bright, like a vibrant blue, a very, I don't know, it's an amazing color. The profile is a rounded flat profile based on the Face profile. If you remember Face wheels, they came out with this profile for the John Star Style Point Bobs back in the days. That had a flat top with almost like a bullet side. This is really great for getting good control when you're skating anti-rocker. Little less rub on the top so you can turn pretty quickly. Also, if you're skating flat like on Aeons or something, you're going to get less wheel bite if you have a nice profile like this. If you have a square profile, that square nub on the edge is really going to bite. Always want to try to stick with a rounder profile. I like a bulleter profile when I'm skating flat, and these are perfect for that. They do come in the box with a sticker pack. So you can get this nice sticker pack. There's 7 stickers on this sheet. Matching, put them on your helmet that you just got from the Helmet Initiative. And we're all sold out. So thank you all so much for the support. We brought in as many wheels as we needed to, as many as we usually do, and they sold out in the first week. So there will be shops that have them. So one of the nice things is that we didn't sell only direct. We sold about half of them direct to skaters, and then we sold half of them to shops. So shops should be getting their orders later this week, if not early next week. And there are plenty to go out there. Some shops, Modern, for example, if you can't find a set and you were looking for a set, Modern Skate Shop up in Michigan is where China skates most of the time. She was there a couple days ago skating. That's like her home shop. She's also sponsored by the shop. They picked up a bunch of wheels. So they will have plenty. If you can't find them at your favorite local shop, go check out Modern Skate Shop. I think it's modernskateshop.com, modernskate.com maybe. They should have plenty. They really stocked up because obviously if you're out there skating and you see China skating and you go into the pro shop and you want to get some wheels and you see that they've got her wheel, you're going to want to support her, right? So huge thank you to China for working with us in this. It's an amazing feeling to have these in stock and finally ship them out. I'm pretty sick of seeing them, to be honest. There's just rows and rows of boxes of wheels going out, and I've been really busy over the last week shipping these out, but I couldn't be happier with the way that they came out. Thank you all again for the support, and thanks to the shops for bringing them in and supporting Chroma. Second thing, not in the best of news. So if you saw my video this weekend, I tested out the USD Sway Montres, and I will get to those skates, but before then, towards the end, after I do my usual review, I usually like to do all of the different obstacles at Durham. So I'll skate the down ledges, I'll skate the little banks, I'll skate the little scoop bowl, and I'll skate the rail. I was skating the rail and I slipped out of a Royale and I fell on my shin. And usually, I fall on my shin, it's not a big deal. This time I split my shin open. So if you look at the last cut of the review, if you watch that video, I'll do my grinds, I do my topside tricks. I talk a little bit about them, and then I do a few different tricks, like a little montage of a few different tricks. There were supposed to be 3 tricks, maybe more, actually 4 tricks. One of them didn't record. There were supposed to be 4 tricks there. The Royale is going to be the last one. I landed the Royale, and for whatever reason, my camera wasn't working. So I went and got a new battery, came back, set it up. We were sessioning with a few people. The rail was a little slipperier. I'm not saying that they waxed it, but I was used to the speed and I pulled it just before. So I don't know why I slipped out, but I slipped out, crashed on my shin, and I ended up getting 8 stitches in my shin. So I typically wear my shin guards. For whatever reason, I was not wearing my shin guards. I am here to say you should always wear your shin guards. I have a big stickler for wearing helmets, and I always like to say, wear whatever pads you feel are most important to you. And from now on, I will be wearing shin guards, because that's sucked. I'm not going to lie. The shin is the worst. Well, I'm sure fingers are probably bad, but the shin really sucked to get stitches. I've gotten stitches before in a few places, and that sucked. So I still have stitches in me now. I get them out next week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to skate this weekend. I'm going to have to see. I really don't want to wreck these stitches and rip them out or anything by accident. I'm saying this because I got new shin guards, and I wanted to share them really quickly. I'd been using the the G-form shin guard that's designed for soccer, and it was fine, but it just didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. It was more like a G-form pad. It's kind of a nice to have. It keeps it from cutting. It keeps it from serious injury. The little bumps and bruises are going to feel fine, but it's not going to stop. It probably wouldn't have stopped me from getting messed up on that rail. So I got these new 888 Exoskin Shin and Whip Guard shin guards. Shin and Whip Guard. So these things are pretty fierce. I'd been looking at them before, and I never thought, again, I didn't really think that shin guards were a thing that I needed, but I need shin guards. So these things have 4 Velcro straps that put them on. They were about 45, maybe 50 bucks. They look perfect for what we do. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think they were designed for us. They look like they were more designed for BMX or like motocross or something like that. But these things look perfect. So they've got the shin in the front. It's not the hard plastic, but it's pretty hard. You can hear it. It's got the hard plastic in the front. It's got the same hard plastic. Yeah, same hard plastic on the side. So when this will protect my full shin. This, when you miss a sole grind and you kind of slide off the side and you kind of scrape the side of your shin, I'll probably be using this a lot for that. Really, really good protective area. It's got 3 Velcro straps. It is padded in the back. So why that's important is, how those soccer shin guards are, if you've ever used soccer shin guards, usually they're fairly solid. like plastic in the back. The problem with that is if you've already got a bump shin, like any bumps or anything, which, you know, we're rollerbladers, we fall down on our shins a lot. Any bumps with that plastic, when you hit that plastic again, it's just going to hurt the bump. And it's going to pow, pow, pow and hurt your shin even more. So this padding should be a little bit better for that. And then hopefully as I wear this, I won't get any more bumps, right? This is the medium. I think that it'll fit. I haven't tried them on. I just opened them up. But this is the medium. It looks like it's the right size for me. And I'm excited to try them. I think being big, I won't forget them. I won't say, oh, I'm not going to wear them. This is like a commitment. So I'll make sure that I wash them with my knee pads. I'll make sure that I put them in my backpack because they're so big, I'm not going to lose them. The other shin guards have this little sock thing that you slide on, like a little wrap. You slide on your calf and then you slide the shin guard in. You know what I'm talking about. I kept losing those and finding them in the wash in like a weird hamper. Like, you know how you lose a sock and you only find one sock and the washer eats the other one? Same thing happens with those shin guards. So I kept losing one. And, you know, just skating with one shin guard is fine, but I want to fully commit to shin guards. So I'm going to have shin guards on now. I'm going to have knee pads. I'm going to have wrist guards. I'm going to have my helmet. I think that's it until I break my elbows or anything else. But I feel like that's a good amount of pads. Whenever I skate mini ramp, I'm going to wear my my pads, my crash pad style pants from G-Form. I really like those, but I feel like they're a bit cumbersome if I'm skating fast. They're fine if I'm just skating transition though. So I'm going to be padded warrior. I'm going to be ready for anything you can throw at me. I'm ready. I really loved skating that rail, and I felt like I was doing really good at it. But you know, that one injury is just pushes me off. So I really want to skate more rails. I really want to skate more high stuff. I feel like this shin guard's going to give me that confidence that I'm not going to get too jacked up. So 888, not a sponsor. Do support the company. I paid for these from my own pocket. But it is important to protect ourselves, and I feel like these will do a good job. All right. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about my current skates. So the way I usually like to start the show is I talk about what skates I've been on. I have not done any big wheels lately. It's been raining. It's been gross. I did have, thankfully, a nice day on Saturday that I was able to escape and go to Durham Skate Park and try out the new Montre USD sways. Ugh. So these things came out so good. I love the look of this skate. I don't know if I pulled it off, but I did my best. You know, I bought myself some black pants. I was wearing a black hoodie with a little bit of red, not too much red, but full black with these skates I felt was a fairly good look for me, 44-year-old white dude. I felt like it was good. I felt like it was a good look. The white was definitely something else. So looking down, that's a lot of look. I'm not complaining. I think that it was a good look, but it's definitely a lot of look. And when I was skating, I felt like, you know, like a little confident, a little bit more confident because I had these skates. I was skating really well too. So I've skated the sway before. The sway that I've skated were the Zoom. So these are the Powerside Zoom. They are the same shell as the Montre sway. The only difference is this sole plate on the bottom is a Trinity adapter versus the UFS sole plate that the Montres come with, or the sways come with. But they fit my feet really well. Nice open area in the toe area, nice open in the heel. I did get a little bit of pinch in the like the arch area. I feel like this area just comes in a little too tight. And I don't know why, but it definitely, as I posted that, I heard a lot of people say, yeah, that's why I can't skate the Next, or that's why I can't skate the Aeon, because it just comes in a little bit tight in the middle. I don't know why they do that. I don't think that is necessary, but it's definitely a thing. So if your feet aren't, you know, if your feet are a little bit wide, these might be good skates for you, definitely in the toe area, but in the mid section and the arch area, probably not. They came with the Fat Boy liners. I did not heat mold them. I didn't see the need. I always like to skate them out of the box the way that they come. Heat molding is definitely an exception. I don't mind heat molding before a review because they recommend to do it. So I probably will heat mold them before my next session, but this session I didn't, and I didn't have any problems. Felt like the liners were good, felt like there were no issues. Nice and solid feel. The tongue held where it was, it didn't slip down. It felt like a premium liner, which is great. It is a premium skate. It is a Montre Pro skate, but it's only $170 boot only. That's crazy. So $170 boot only. That is lower than most skates can be boot only. And this is a pro model. Comes with a 45-degree strap, comes with a great liner. Yeah, I was really blown away by the price. Same problem that I always have with 45-degree straps. I don't know if I mentioned this in my initial talk, but this 45-degree strap is the same one that comes on the Aeon. And as you'll see, oh, it didn't come apart. It came apart. Oh, it just came unbuttoned. So when I fell off the rail, this was my Royale foot. I jumped on, and when I slipped out, it just slipped off. So it came unbuckled. It didn't come unbuckled back here, though. I thought it did. No, it just came unbuckled. That's just, you know, I don't know. 45-degree straps on USD skates are always kind of hit or miss. I don't know why it would fall off. It's not like, maybe I was just giving it too much pressure. I don't know. But it came unbuckled, and I was like, oh man, because I was skating away, and I was already kind of in shock because I felt it. I was skating away, and I could hear the little dingle, dingle, dingle of the 45-degree strap. I'm like, oh man, what did I break now? Well, I broke that. I did fall a few times, and you can see where the toe kind of scrapes up. This plastic, I don't know how long this plastic is going to last. I hope it shows up in the camera. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it definitely like frays up, which is super weird. I noticed this with my Zoom as well, and it makes me feel like this material is really hard, like kind of a brittle material, but it sure felt really supportive. So yeah, I don't know. But overall, I really liked the skates. The Royale was really good. The sole plate was really good. I skated these before. I've skated this Royale before. I've skated the sole plate before on my Zooms. Felt great. I skated them with 50-50 balance frames. So these are obviously the 50-50 balance frames that I helped design. I am an owner of 50-50, so full disclosure, I designed these frames. I think they're great frames. I brought back the company because I love these frames, but take that with a grain of salt. I love the 50-50 balance frames, the way that it lines up perfectly with this skate. I felt like there was no issues. First couple of Royales took a little getting used to, and then it was off to the races. No problems. Was able to grind perfectly, boot down, absolutely no issues. I'm skating the Mushroom Blading Hot Dog Gods wheels on the outside because I think they look great with the white and the red print. Wasn't a huge fan of the wheels, if I'm being honest. They felt like really good OEM wheels, but they didn't feel like a premium product, not like an undercover wheel, or I would say 50-50 wheel. I feel like, or you know, any of the AE&D wheels, I feel like they were good for a OEM wheel, for a wheel that you would get on a skate. If you got these on a skate, I think you'd be stoked. But they felt kind of sluggish, like there was very little rebound. Felt like, you know, it's hard to put into words, but when you push off of a transition, you could feel a little bit of bounce coming back. I didn't feel any of this bounce. So again, I didn't skate them because of the performance. I skated them because I love the color. They're also fairly flat to me. I like a more rounded profile. But they look great, so I will definitely keep them as this, and I will put them on the wall and remember my time fondly with them. A lot of people asked about the Antirocker wheels. What are these crazy Antirocker wheels? Is 50-50 making Antirocker wheels in red? These aren't 50-50 Antirocker wheels. These are Chroma Antirocker wheels. Nothing to announce yet. These are the first skatable samples, but Chroma will be making Antirocker wheels to go with the cool colors that we are making wheels of. So we want to make Antirocker wheels cool. And I think that a lot of Antirocker wheels have been passed down from generation to generation. I want that to stop. I think Antirocker wheels deserve love too. I think those black anti-rocker wheels that you have aren't doing anybody any favors. You need a nice clean setup. So we will be making Antirocker wheels. It is a new design. It is a new mold. It is a new Antirocker wheel. They're 47 millimeter. They are 101A, technically 65D, which is harder than 101A. They will be out with the next Chroma release. I don't have any timelines on that. We're still working on them. This is still a sample. They don't spin because the tolerance was off, so we have to modify the mold a little bit to make them so that they will spin. We're still working on these, but this is something I always like to tease that we are working on. They slid amazing. So I was really happy with the way that they performed. I do want them to spin though. So no information yet aside from what I already said, but they will be coming out. They will be in fun colors to match the cool Chroma wheels that we come out with. And I'm hoping that we'll have them in the next couple of months. We'll see. But I hope that we get your support. Cool colors is important. Making sure that you have a really nice setup is important. And I love this setup. I think this is an amazing look. Highly recommend the Montre Sway. I'm going to say it. I mean, I loved the Zoom. I think that it was a good skate. The Montre Sway for the price, it's really hard to beat. I think that the red and white is a bit much, and I think that some people are going to have a hard time pulling it off. I know that I had a hard time pulling it off. I had to invest money to get pants that looked good with it. My normal jeans probably wouldn't. I might skate in my normal jeans next session and see what they look like. It's important to like the way that you look in your setup. Gives you a little bit of that ego, a little bit of that, you know, fierceness when you're out there skating. And I think that a lot of that contributes to me having a pretty good session over the weekend. I love skating these and I want to keep skating them as well as I did this weekend. So that is the goal. Yeah, definitely like the Montre Sway. I think it was a really great skate. And any Sway is probably going to be comparable, but this just really spoke to me as something that I should try. All right. Thank you all so much for watching the video. It was a fun video. I'm sorry that I hit my shin. I was getting a really good royale on that, but it happens. If you want to see the fall, it's on the Slack. So go to the Slack on the Aggressive channel. You can see the fall and you can see my injury if you're into that sort of thing. All right. Let me go through and do a few questions, and then I will get to the main topic. Lots of questions tonight. Great. Love this. Alejandro Castro, have you had a chance to try out those 76mm dual density wheels? I have not. No, I have them. They haven't been touched since the last Gear Talk, unfortunately. My time has been pretty limited. And I want to make sure that I do them right and I find a really good scenario to skate the 76s. That means going to downtown Durham or going to downtown Raleigh and skating a downtown scenario where I can do a little bit of everything. Unfortunately, I haven't had time. The only dry weekend day that I had was that last Saturday. So they are still here. I'm staring at them right now. I can see them. They look great, but I have not skated them yet. I will, and I will report back. Hopefully next weekend. This weekend is going to be wet again. So hopefully next weekend I'll have time to do that. Denzes, have you thought of doing throwbacks like the Tom Fry hoodie, fishbowl logo, or the JJ Faces logo hoodie? Kind of. I mean, throwback pro stuff is kind of weird. I remember Jan is doing a lot of the 4x4 stuff, and he did a throwback shirt with Brian Shima on it. And that was just a little weird to me because Brian is a great dude. I don't know that he's, you know, part of this throwback thing, but like if you're selling something with your likeness on it or using your name, you should probably get a royalty in my eyes. And I don't know that that happened. I wouldn't have a problem talking to Tom or John about it. I don't know that that's something that we want to do though. I think that those are designs for the times. And I think John's, very busy and very successful with them. I don't think he would be interested. I don't think that I would ask. It's not really something I'd be interested in doing. Tom, maybe. I don't know. It hasn't been something that's been interesting to me. It's come up a couple of times. I'm not looking to make everything that 50/50 used to make. I think that we have an amazing history and we shouldn't forget it. But we are a new company now. The wheel project, the Antirocker Wheels, the new stuff that we're working on. There's a lot of new coming with 50/50. I think that the stuff that we've done in the past is very amazing and a lot of it very legendary. But I think it's kind of good to remember it as such rather than try to bring it back. So if you can find it online, you can probably print your own shirt. I'm sure that you go to Printful or Teespring, they would gladly print it for you on a shirt, but I don't think that we'll be doing anything official with those. Great question, though. Sammy, hey Sammy, stayed up just for this. I have a question. Given your influence in rollerblading in the game rolling, was there ever any ode given to you as there is an NPC character called Lawrence? That's me. Yeah, so that was me. I'm actually going to talk about that in a little bit. But yes, so I was in the game. I was really big into video games back then, and I was helping with the rolling game. So when they asked for logos and stuff like that, we provided all the 50/50 stuff back then. And I was really big into gaming and I wanted to help with some direction for rolling. John was also a huge, much more than me, but a huge part of the development of the game. And they gave me a little bit of credit by putting me in the game, which is pretty funny. I think I am asking for somebody who stole my game console, because again, I was the gamer back then. And somebody had to go get it and then bring it back to me. I think that was my mission. So yeah, I'm an NPC in that game, which is pretty cool. Great memory. Thanks for watching it. Mr. Self-Destroy, did you get the love letter I sent you through the contact form? If I did, I haven't read it. I apologize. I will see what it is. I don't have all of my emails up to date. I apologize. I'm drowning right now. So if it was a contact form, I apologize. Anybody sent me anything to the Back to Blading email address, I haven't gotten through those yet. I'm still struggling to catch up with all the 50/50 stuff in my normal work. But I will do my best to read it tonight. If not, I will do my best to read it by the weekend, I promise. Now that the wheels are all shipped, I should have more time. Anuj, the UFS frame bolt heads on balance frames are smaller than standard UFS bolts. What are the advantages, disadvantages of that? If it's better, why aren't other companies doing it? I think that's a subjective question. For me, the advantage was it gave us more room inside the frame so that we could have more support. Why other people aren't doing it? It's negligible. I think for us, I looked into making it a bigger head, and it was very expensive for the modification. So I said, why not just stick with the small bolts? It's not making any negative to it being a small bolt head. I don't think there's any... we over-engineer a lot in rollerblading. I've never seen anybody strip or break or pull out a frame bolt. Like, that doesn't happen. So I have no reason to think that the 11 mil heads that we use are any less strong or more strong than the 14 mil heads, which most people use. I just feel like if you don't need 14 mil, why not use 11? It gives us more room to have more support in there, and I feel like it's a stronger frame. We didn't do that on the Compass frames because we didn't have the room. Because of the way that the Compass frame is made and the wheels are so close, I didn't have enough room to put an arch in there. But if it were another flat 56, 58 millimeter frame, I would probably do the same. I don't see any reason why not to. Compatibility is a thing. Being able to pull the frame bolts off of your skate and put them on any frame is important. We provide all of the different frame bolts that you need for like 90% of the skates. If you got a an adapt, or if you got a Colt, or if you got a Rems, you probably need different bolts. We're more than happy to send them out. I think they're $2, and you get all the bolts that you need. So go to the website if you need that. It kind of sucks, you know, getting your frames and you unbox them and you're like, oh, they won't fit on my skates and this bolt won't fit. I totally understand that. It was a balance that we decided. This was the same frame that we had for years. So anyway, great question. I don't know if there's a technical answer. I'm definitely not an engineer at that sort of thing, but I see no reason why the heads that we use aren't great. I think they can use whatever bolts they want. Sammy asks about the bolts. What bolts can I use for the UFS receiver for fitty frames? I'm getting some secondhand and fitty, and I can't find the correct bolt. They are 11 mil head, depending on what size you need. It's an M6 bolt. Usually the 14 mil is the one that most people need. 20 mil is the one that we also provide for longer. Sometimes they have a short and a long, like the sways that I have. If you need a Rems, it's 25 mil. If you need a Colt, it's 30 mil. So it can get really long. That's just the way that Colts were designed. I think SSM is the same because technically it's the Colt mold and the way that they built the thing. That's the way that it is. So 25 and 30 is probably what you need, M6 bolts. If you can't find them, hit me up and I'm more than happy to send some out. Ari Van Koik, I don't know how to pronounce your name, I apologize. What are your thoughts on the modding and trading of existing skates versus purchasing new from companies? In this innovation hurting or helping skating? It's a good question. I remember Lino talking about that and how Solomons are killing the industry and stuff. I don't care. Like, for me, I don't think that skates should necessarily sit in your closet. I mean, I've got a bunch of skates on the wall. That doesn't mean that everybody should have a bunch of skates on their wall. If you're not skating your skates, give them to somebody and let them skate. You know, don't force people to buy new skates every time they want to skate. In saying that, I do love to support the industry and I love to buy new skates if I can. I think that enough people are buying Solomons and, you know, old Thrones and stuff like that, then going out and buying new frames, new wheels, new bearings to put them back together. That's, you know, that's the disposable stuff that you're going to be using, the consumable items. Wheels wear out every 3 months or so. If you have wheels that last 6 months, a year, then you probably either aren't skating enough or you have magic wheels. A boot should probably last you a long time. Like, that's a big investment. So I want to make sure that my boots last. Sole plates might wear out. You can replace sole plates. There's no reason why, I feel like there's no reason why you shouldn't expect that boot to last forever. But if you want to try something new, sell that boot, give it to somebody else. I think it's good for the industry. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there's always going to be people buying new skates. If you didn't notice, last year we had a shortage of skates. So I don't think that it made any impact whatsoever. This year we do have skates available. Maybe they're not selling as quickly. Maybe they are, I don't know. Lots of the US is under snow right now and not able to skate. So it's really hard to say. But my take is, so long as you're out there skating, you're going to be supporting the industry. You're spreading the love of skating. You're buying wheels. You're potentially buying soft goods and VODs and stickers and things like that. I think anybody out there skating is doing a great job. I don't really care where you got your boots from. Just go out there and skate. Great question, though. Mr. Darren 25. Why were fat aftermarket tongues and bulky skates such a huge trend in the 2000s? It's a great question. I have my Thrones. Can I get them? Yeah, I can. The Thrones are big. I don't have any puffy tongue, though. Is this a puffy tongue? This is a removable tongue. I don't know why this tongue came out. It's so weird. It's a great question. I think that back in the Throne days, they were definitely big puffy tongues. Couple reasons for that. That was kind of the trend with you know, hip hop culture and skateboarding culture. They all had the big fat skateboarding shoes, and they had the tongues out with the big, I don't know, white dude, so it's really hard for me to say. But definitely that was a vibe of street culture back in the days. So I think a lot of people just wanted the skates to feel that way. I will argue that puffy tongues were actually a better fit than non-puffy tongues. If you look at this and you see how wide this lacing area is, by tightening down these laces, it sucks your foot into your boot. Now, what happens if your foot isn't big enough? You put a puffy tongue in and it makes your liner thicker. So that means that by tightening the laces, it sucks your foot into the boot. If you look at the Aeons, so these are the Aeons that I've had. This is a very stiff, because this Aeon design has to also have the same material for the frame as it does for the boot. This is a very stiff top lacing area. If it had a puffy tongue, this would fit better. Your foot wouldn't feel like it was slopping around so much, because there would be that material in there that would keep that padding and suck your foot in, because the laces would finally have something to dig in. If you tie up these laces, they're not doing anything. They're not keeping your foot in there. They don't have to be there. But if you had a puffy tongue, it would suck it in. Should they come back? Probably not. I think that people should just address the problems that they have with boots. I don't know that the puffy tongue look is all that great anymore. I prefer a very thin look. That's why I like my USD Carbon so much. I feel like this is a very slim look to it. I really like the look of this skate, and it has a very nice lacing system that sucks my foot in. That is what I want. I don't think I need any more puff in my tongue than I already have. That is a great question, though, and one that comes up every now and then. So, super chat from Alchemist Skate. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the super chats go into the helmet initiative. So thank you for supporting our initiative to give away helmets. Really appreciate it. Love what you are doing. We're a new 100% Blader-owned brick and mortar online shop in the UK. Just sent me an email. Well, I appreciate that. Always love to hear from new shops. We've been getting a ton of new shops. We haven't gotten too many in the UK, so I appreciate you reaching out. We just got some from New York. We got one from Ecuador. We got one from, where's the other one? There's another one down in South America. Amazing time, though. Again, I think that blading is really on this upward trajectory. I think that we're doing a good job getting the love out and being different. I think Chroma is helping. I think Compass is helping. I think obviously 50/50 has the history. We're really doing everything that we can to share our love and share that we are loving blading. And you see more and more people out there skating. I was leaving the office the other day, and I'm right around the corner from the Tobacco Trail, which is one of my favorite places to skate. It's a converted railroad that is now paved over, and they turned it into bikes and running and, skating, of course. And it goes for miles. So you can take it from here in, I guess we're kind of in South Durham, all the way to downtown Durham. It takes about 30 minutes. It's like a 4-mile skate or so, but it's a beautiful trail. And that trail, while I was at the stoplight, the trail crosses the stoplight, crosses the street there, and a rollerblader crosses from one side. And I'm looking, and it's a dude I think he was on some dupes. So he had the 3-wheel with the dupes. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, whoa, there's a blader. And then coming the other way, there was a girl blader. And she had the ski pole thing. She had some like 4x80s. I don't know what the hell skates they were. But she was doing her thing. And he turns around and checks her out, right? I don't know if there was a love connection or what, but she totally ignored him. And she was just flying by. What are the odds any other year you would see 2 rollerbladers crossing paths on a trail? That doesn't happen. But it happened this year. So I think there's a lot of bladers. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, I would love to help you out. I will check my email as soon as I can, and I will get back to you. I'm really bad at emails lately. It's just me. I have a full-time job. I'm doing my best. Don't take it personal, but I will do my best to get a hold of everybody who's emailed me. Try to catch up. Hopefully this weekend I'll have some time to catch up. All right, more questions. I'll do 2 more, and then I'll do a couple more. Nickname. You used to say, full disclosure, I own Fitty Fitty Frames, but lately you have started saying, full disclosure, I am an owner of Fitty Fitty Frames. What gives? Great question. I am an owner of Fitty Fitty Frames, always have been. Jess Deerenforth was the founder of 50/50. He and Ted Simpson founded the company, brought me on, and he was the guy that I worked with from the UFS frame on out. I always say that I am the owner, but I should stipulate that I am one of the owners. I've done this venture by myself. I've kind of full funded and full taken the risk to bring the company back, but Jess is definitely a part owner of the company. He is the guy that started it all. So, a huge debt of gratitude to Jess. When I got back into blading, I went back to Southern California and I said, hey, I would love to start making frames again. You know, is it okay? And he said, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and make some frames. I don't want to be in debt because we got into a lot of debt before. I don't want to be in debt again, but I would love nothing more than you to go ahead and make some frames. I'll help out how I can. So I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. The Fitty Fitty brand and frames definitely is a co-ownership. I don't want any any drama. I do own the company though. All the wheels and everything else, all the finances, all the day-to-day operations. If you need to get a hold of somebody at Fitty Fitty, don't call Jess, call me. I'm the owner of the company. So having to distinguish between the company and the brand is a little weird. I'm trying to make that distinction a little bit better. But that's why business is a little tricky sometimes. Great question though, and great catch. I have been trying to change my language over the last couple of weeks. So it is definitely something that I'm working on. But yeah, Jess and I definitely own Fitty 50. He did the backpack project with me. He came up with the designs for the first backpack that we brought back with the camo and the black. And then he did the new designs for the new backpacks that are in production now. And he and I own the mold for the balance frames and all the old logos and the IPs and everything. So that's kind of where the distinction is. This new company is my responsibility. So if you have any questions, I'd love to chat about it. Or if you have any Fitty Fitty stuff, please feel free to ask me. I'm an open book with this stuff. Great question. Denzes, are those new Antirocker wheels set up to use with bearings? Yes, but for some reason they don't spin right now. So I got to figure out the tolerances on that. I think there's some measurements that I'm a little bit off. So I'm going to modify the mold and see if we can make some that will spin. They should spin just like the Fitty Fitty Antirocker wheels. Yannick D, are the red anti-UHMW or urethane? They are urethane. They are 65D, which on the scale, the Shore hardness scale, 0 to 100 is in the A range. You can't technically have a 101A. 100 is the top of the A range. 60D is kind of similar to 100A. So if you go any higher than 100A, you've got to use the D scale. These are 65D. Production is going to be 75D. So it's going to be harder than 100A. I don't know what that means though. You'll have to check. Any of the durometer checkers that I have, they are A. So it just checks and it says, is it 100? Yes. If it's 105, it wouldn't know the difference. So if it's 110, it would know the difference. It's all the same. So I need a D scale measurer. It's going to be really hard though, and they're not going to have any wheel bite. They're really nice urethane. The first session that I had was this weekend, and it was a success. I do want them to spin though. I think that a wheel should spin. All right, I think I am good for now. I will definitely get to the rest. But I do want to talk about video games. So we talked a little bit before about me being in rolling. That was fun, really awesome experience. I was a huge gamer when I was down in Southern California. This was around late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. My introduction to gaming was as a kid. You know, I had an Atari 2600, I had a Nintendo NES, I had a Sega Genesis, I had PlayStation, I had you name it. At the generation of the Xbox and the GameCube, I had both Xbox and GameCube. I think they both came out about a week apart. That was kind of my heavy gaming era. So I spent a lot of time playing games. It was one of the things, to be honest, I was in Southern California. I didn't have a ton of friends. You know, I moved down there for skating. And when we weren't skating, we didn't have a ton in common. Like, we loved skating together, but they had their scene, I had my scene, and I didn't really fit in. So I played a lot of video games. That was one way that I kind of just relaxed at the end of the day after working. So my love of games, you know, started early, and I just got passionate about the art of games, about the design of games. You know, my craft now, what I do is product design, not just for skating, but I do product design for applications for enterprise collaboration, which is boring, but it is something that I'm really passionate about. I love web design, I love application design, I love all that sort of stuff. And I've learned a lot from playing video games. So how do these two worlds mix? Well, I was always passionate about skating, and I was always passionate about games. And back in the days, there was a bunch of random games that kind of have skating in them, but the first one that really had tricks and stuff, to my knowledge, was Jet Set Radio. That was a game that Sega released on the Sega Dreamcast. They re-released an updated version that was a completely different game, but it was kind of based on the same world, called Jet Set Radio Future. And I have a copy right here. So this is Jet Set Radio Future, one of the best skating games of all time. It is not a skating game. It is based in the world of skating and graffiti. It is just an amazing game. The soundtrack is incredible. The art is incredible. The style is incredible. The vibe is incredible. There are skating tricks, but you can't really call out a trick. You jump on a rail and it does a trick. It'll do a soul grind, it'll do a royale, it'll do a unity, it'll do a spin to top acid. And you can't really, it doesn't call out what the trick is. It just follows the right foot positions and it makes it feel like you're skating. It's a really fun game. There's also a lot of graffiti that you have to do different key strokes and move your thumbsticks in different directions. It's a really weird game, really stylized game, but I absolutely love it. If you've ever had a chance to play it, you know what I mean. It is an awesome, awesome game. Jet Set Radio was probably one of the games that got me really passionate about it. And then when obviously Jet Set Radio Future came out, totally addicted. There were two other games for the Xbox that I really loved. One was Rolling. We already talked about this. Rolling was the kind of the underground game. It only came out in Europe, I think, maybe a few other regions, but it never came out in the US. This is the one that 50/50 was involved with. You can see John with 50/50 frames on the cover. They were really great to work with. He's wearing England clothing and his head case thrones. Really great to work with, but the distribution, as soon as this game came out, it kind of, I think the distribution company went bankrupt or the company went bankrupt, something like that. Very weird story, but this was kind of like the underground, the game that people who knew rollerblading would get. It had the real pros, I hate to say it, but it had like the street pros, you know, like Shima and Julio and Spicer and Petty and stuff like that. Then there was Aggressive Inline. Aggressive Inline was the other game. Aggressive Inline was the one that made it everywhere. It was kind of the game that everybody played. It was in every region. It was by Acclaim, so it was distributed by a pretty big company. This was the one that was like, fabulous, like cartoony, much less realistic. I think rolling was more realistic. This was more like fanatical, fantastical, I guess. Kind of like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater style game. This one had that different group. It had more of the competition skaters. So it had Tide Chris, Ato, Frankie, Sven, Matt Lindemuth, Matt Salerno, Chris Edwards, things like that, Jaron, obviously. It was a very different market. And this is probably the game that most people played. This one gave me motion sickness because I don't think it was made very well. Rolling was a lot better in my eyes. This was a really fun game. Anyway, so that was, in my eyes, the high point of rollerblading video games. None of these actually help you become a better skater, though. This is a game that you play if you're already a skater, if you love skating, if you just want to do a fun game that has skating in it, or maybe somebody who's just, like with Jet Set Radio Future, maybe somebody who just loves great games and is like, oh, that's awesome, it has skating and graffiti. Who doesn't like that? It's a fun game. All this to say that I still love gaming. I don't have a ton of time to play games anymore, but we got a Switch a couple years ago. When it first came out, the Nintendo Switch, we played the heck out of this thing. So I've played through a bunch of the big games, the Zelda, the Mario. I'm a huge fan of Stardew Valley and all the indie games. Gave this to my daughter and she plays Mario Kart all the time. This gets heavy use in our house. And I found a game that I think you will like if you have a Switch. One thing that I've been trying to do is find motivation to work out. And I found a game that I really like that does a lot of good motivation. And I feel like it works the muscles that we need as rollerbladers to prevent injury, to jump higher, to skate longer, all of the things that you need to be a stronger skater. I feel like this game does really well, and it's actually a pretty engaging game. It's not just do the thing over and over and over again. So this is Ring Fit Adventure. It's totally gimmicky. So you are a person who is battling with Ring, who's this little mascot dude that's trying to help save the kingdom from this bad guy whose name is Drago. And he has all of his different workout equipment themed enemies that come after him. It's a silly game. What's amazing about this, though, is that you're not just playing with the controllers, you're playing with a ring. So this thing is a kind of like a, what is it? Not yoga, but what's the Pilates? So this is like a Pilates ring. So you get this, you take your Nintendo Switch and you take the controller out and you slide it into the top. How's it going there? You slide it into the top, and then you get this one, and this, you get the controller and you slide it in here. You strap this one to your leg, and you hold on to this, and when you're playing the game, this is how you control the game. So you do the menu system, you turn it left and right if you want to go left or right, you lift it up if you want to go up, you hold it down if you want, and you squeeze it if you want to like click or pull it away if you want to go back in a menu. What's awesome about this is the sort of thing that we should be doing more of. We should be working our upper body. We should be doing a lot of squats because rollerbladers need to work our core. Our core is the main driver in all that we do. And if all that you're doing is going out and skating, that's going to be an injury. Like, you could stretch all you want, and I've been really good about stretching, but everybody keeps saying in my comments, you got to work out more, you got to work out more. We need to treat, especially as we get older, we need to treat rollerblading as a thing that we do, not the only thing that we do. Working out on a more regular cadence will help us skate better. So I've been doing this for about 3 weeks now, maybe 2.5 weeks. I haven't done it this week because of the stitches, so I don't want to rip my stitches out. but I've been doing it for a few weeks now. I do it for about 45 minutes to an hour. And I tell you what, after 30 minutes, I'm sweating like a dog. So the way that the game works, you can see on the box some of the stuff that it does. So it's an adventure game. It's a very linear adventure game. You kind of run through this world collecting stuff. You literally run. So because it has the thing strapped onto your leg, you're running in place, or you're doing squats, which I recommend. You can change it in the settings. Rather than running, you can do squats instead. It's a lot quieter, especially if your wife is trying to sleep. So definitely switch it to squats. But you just sit there and you go do, 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 and you squat, and your little avatar runs. And as you jump over things, you run, and you hold down the ring and you squeeze it. And as you squeeze it, a jet of air pops down and you jump up. Or if you've got a rowboat, you hold it and you squeeze it in and you go like this, whoosh, 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 and it moves the oars of the rowboat. You do this for an hour a day for a week, I guarantee you're going to feel muscles that you haven't used in a long time. Those muscles in your core, in your abs, are what we need to keep ourselves from getting injured when we're skating. If you look at Danny Beer, you can see how ripped that dude is. There is a really great YouTube video from Blading Physio. I can't remember his name right now, I'm sorry. But that he does a whole Danny Beer workout. And you'll look at some of those moves that he's doing with core stretches, with working out different areas of his abs. A lot of those movements are replicated in the game. But I have a hard time doing those movements if there's nothing motivating me. I'm not just going to sit there and do them. That's really boring. What's awesome about this game is you go through and you play, and it is a story. So you're going through different towns, you're collecting items, you're fighting monsters, you're fighting the big boss, you're going and collecting different clothing items and making smoothies so that you can recover. It is totally silly, but it totally works. It's very effective. Highly recommend it. I think it's like $70 in Amazon. I think it's pretty easy to find nowadays. If you already have a Switch, you'll need the ones with the detachable controllers. You can't get one of those newer ones that doesn't have the detachable controllers. But get the detachable controller ones. If you got one, get the game. $70. It's a lot of fun, and I've felt better. I felt stronger, especially in my quads and in my my abs than I've felt in a long time. I'm skating much better. Again, I don't know that I can chalk it up just to that or the fact that I've been skating more. But I feel like I'm able to skate more because my legs are in better shape, because my abs are in better shape. I'm able to hold myself up more. I feel like my posture is improved because I've been doing over the head strengthening exercises that's working on my, I don't know what they're called, lats or something like that. It's great. So I highly recommend it. I think that is worth looking into if it's something that you have been trying to do and you have a Switch, but you can't just get into working out. This is definitely something to look into. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm also not a physical therapist or a trainer. So take what I say with a grain of salt. This is just me talking to you, saying this worked for me. I feel like it's going to work for you. Anything that you can do, any exercise outside of skating will make you a better skater. Lasting message, we've got to make sure that we treat skating as a thing that we do. It's not the only thing that we do. You can't say, oh yeah, I exercise because I go skate. No. You got to exercise so that you can go skate. That is the difference. Exercise and stretch before skating, and you'll have a much better time when you are skating. All right, I'm going to get some water and answer some more questions. If you have any questions about that or exercise in general, I'm probably not the right person to ask, but I would love to hear your question, and I would love to maybe point you in the right direction. All right, Ken Wolpert, if you could only skate one pair of aggressive skates, which ones? So for me, my favorite skates right now are the USD Carbons, the full carbon ones. These are my favorite skates. They fit me like a glove. They are light, they are responsive. I love the big sole plate. I love the way that the lacing system sucks my foot in. I love the 45-degree strap. It is super responsive because it is carbon, so it's really hard in the bottom, which means that when you bolt your UFS frame on, you're getting no wiggle. This thing is super, super on there, versus something like a shift or something like a REMS that you'll get a lot of wiggle. This is my favorite. Why this versus an Adapt or a Seba? Well, this to me fits better than the Seba. I haven't gutted my Sebas, so I don't know what that feels like, but definitely prefer this over the stock Seba. Over the Adapt is a really great skate. The big problem for me with Adapts is that the cuff is carbon, whereas this cuff is not. So in the Adapt, do I have my Adapts here? I do. This is a great skate. In the Adapts though, the cuff goes all the way up. So when you're trying to do Royale tricks, anything that you need to get down flat and bone your foot over, that is limiting. You have to get really low and you start getting a little bit of pain on the outside of your ankles if you don't do it right. I don't like that feeling. I think that if all I did was skate Adapts, I would probably love these skates. These are the most comfortable skates I have, but I don't skate as well in these skates as I do in my USD carbons. I feel like if all that I was doing was skating these Adapts, I would probably love them and I would skate them really well. But because I change out my skates every month or so, I like having the plastic cuff so that I have a little bit of squish, a little bit more give. So when I'm doing topsides, when I'm doing Royales, I can squish down and I can adjust a little bit more rather than land it perfectly like I have to with the Adapts. So my favorite skates, USD carbons, these are the 2018 version. The 2020 version was the Timberland looking ones. They're kind of like a brown leather. I don't know what the new version looks like, but for me, this was the winner. It's just all black, beautiful. You could put any frame on there, any wheels on there, and they're just gonna pop. It's just a really, really clean look, really subtle look, really slim fitting skate. Right. Sam Dynamo, are there plans for Chroma to make a harder wheel like a 95A for a flat setup? Seems like the only options are dead wheels, but they lack the style of Chroma. It's a good question. I'm not a huge fan of 95A, to be honest. I think that's just too hard. I think there are, dead wheels are probably the only 95As now. I know Conjure kind of did it first in my eyes with the flats, and I didn't really like those because they just felt like I was skating on little rocks. I don't know that wheels need to be that hard. I do understand the argument with a flat setup, and that's something that we'll look into for sure. But I can't see us doing 95. 92 probably. I could see us going up to 92, but 95 seems like it's just too hard for anybody. I do appreciate your comment about the style though. I love Chroma because it's something that I can't do. We worked with amazing artists, Jeremy Vital, who knows what he's doing with wheel design. He did a lot of the 4x4 wheels and just bleeds this aesthetic that you can see in the shirts and the wheels and the packaging. So I love working with him. I think he's an amazing artist. So we're gonna keep doing that, small runs, really cool looking wheels, and hooking up our riders with nice royalties because they deserve it. All right. Where are we? Oh, there it is. For whatever reason, when you scroll in YouTube, the comments don't pile up. I don't know why. Aaron Christensen, are you thinking of making any more aluminum core aggressive frames? Yes, we're looking into it. We've talked a little bit about it in the past, but the core system that we had before is super expensive to make now. The company that we worked with, I think they didn't make a ton of money on that system, to be honest. So I wanted to bring them back, but it wasn't going to be cheap. and I didn't have the confidence that we could sell through 1,000 pairs, and I don't have the cash flow. It's just me. So I didn't have the cash flow to bring in 1,000 sets, and that seemed like a lot. So we are looking at different ways to bring back the core system. I think that it was short-lived. It needed to have more life to it. I think the time is now for the core system, and I'm looking into it, but nothing to announce yet. Hopefully, come spring, we'll have something to announce. Maybe sooner. Great question. Thanks for remembering. Juan Zavala, how are the sales of aluminum grind plates going? We don't sell too many. They're only available through our online store. So that's not a big deal. They're very expensive to make. I think they cost like $16 to make. I think we sell them for 25. So typically if you sell to a shop, you would want to sell, the shop will want to double what they pay. So if we sell to the shop for 20, they'd be 40 in a shop. I can't sell them for 40. I think that that's way too high for the aluminum grind plates, even though they're amazing. They're very niche. They're something that I love because I was able to make them, and I love the sound of them, but they're not for everybody. So I'm happy that I can sell as many as I bring in, and I try to keep a few in stock at all times. Good question. Sammy Scribbles, what's your feeling on Final Fantasy? They are the best. You know, I never really got into the RPG sort of games. I played a lot of Zelda. I did play Phantasy Star. I don't know. It's just not really my thing. Like, I think memorable games. I always loved the Marios. I always loved the Zeldas. I was a very Nintendo fanboy, so I think that contributed to that. Growing up, I had Genesis, so I was playing a lot of Sonic. I was playing a lot of Streets of Rage, Toe Jam and Earl, like all the classic Genesis games I was really a big fan of. Xbox, I got into Halo. There were some pretty massive Halo parties back in the days. We used to go over to Randy Spizer's house, and we would have like LAN parties with all the skaters. It was a lot of fun. And I loved playing Halo there. Louis was really good. Louis Zamora, he was really good at Halo. Dominic was really good too. They would just kill me. But I used to love that game. Yeah, I don't know. With the Switch, Breath of the Wild is just an incredible game. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of Mario Odyssey. It seemed like it was... I don't know. It seemed like a typical Mario game. I used to love them, but as soon as I figured out the formula that they just kind of add things, and it gets to be kind of boring. So wasn't a huge fan of that, but definitely was never really a big RPG fan. And I don't think I ever played through any of the Final Fantasies. I think I got Final Fantasy VII. Is that the one? Might have gotten Final Fantasy VII and played through that when it was on PlayStation. I don't remember. But yeah, it was fun, but it just seemed like it was so slow. I wanted something that was a bit, I don't know, a little more action-y, I guess. BMM Gaming, I've been playing Honor Roll on my PC for a few days. It's a cool game. Honor Roll is a great mention. So Honor Roll is great. They were a Kickstarter that came out a couple years back. Unfortunately, it's a Kickstarter, so they didn't have a ton of money, and they realized that making a game is really difficult. So I think it's a couple guys that were making it, and then it ended up being just one guy that was trying to make it and maintain it. Had a lot of potential, though. I don't know that it's ever going to come out as a full-fledged game. There was a promise that it was going to come out on PlayStation, but now that PlayStation 5 is out, I don't think that's going to be supported. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But Honor Roll looks good. I've never played it. I did back it, but I don't have a PC. So I was always a console gamer. Not much that I could do about it. Mr. Self-Destroy, how long are you going to make us wait before you live stream Ring Fit? I don't think anybody wants to see me live stream Ring Fit. That's not a good look. But I will tell you, I stand by my word. It is a great game for working your core, working your quads, all of the muscles that you need. I just don't feel comfortable sharing that with the viewers. I'll share any skating related things. This is a stretch. I need more clothes. I think maybe if I did it in full, like long sleeve and pants, but I'm in like, you know, little yoga shorts, and that's not, nobody needs to see that. Corey English, the channel is Blading Physio. Yes, that's the one. Jonas, yeah, I thank you all in the chat. He's amazing. That is the sort of thing that I would definitely get behind if you were trying to figure out a workout plan and you wanted to get in shape, but you wanted to have something more designed for rollerblading and the muscles that we use. Jonas is an amazing dude. He's on the Slack. If you ever have questions, he'd love to chat with you about it. But his YouTube channel, Blading Physio, highly recommended. He does really good work. My problem was trying to get motivated to do it. And gamification has always been good for me. It always worked well for me. And that's where Ring Fit comes in. I feel like it works similar muscles, but it keeps my interest. Eddie FND, any chance to review those old heel strap clamp slam heel clamp? It would be nice to fit Razor skates, contemplating that 90s look. Oh, yeah, so these Shima, the Colts, have this thing for the 45-degree strap. So we used to use crank straps. They also came out with lazy legs. Slam definitely was another brand. It was a 45-degree strap, like this one. But instead of bolting onto the side of the boot, they would bolt on the back of the boot because nobody was drilling into their skates back in those days. I don't know where to find any of these, but that would be a really cool review. I think that would, yeah, I would be totally down. Let me see if I can find some. That's a really great idea. I love doing gear reviews. So if I can review some gear that maybe isn't used anymore, but maybe it should be, I think that would be really interesting. That's a good idea. Thank you. Brian Allison, which compass frame and wheels would you recommend for a them setup? For some more recreation fitness setup, pushing a stroller. Pushing a stroller, probably stick with 72s. It's going to be a much lower ride. It's going to be a much more comfortable ride. The 80s are great. You'll be able to handle the 80s with them skates, no problem. I skated 3x110 on Trimax on them 908s, and that wasn't a problem. But I would prefer something a little smaller. I think either 72s or 80s. The 80s will probably be fine. I would probably do the 72. I think the 72 is probably your best bet, especially since you don't need top speed. You just want to be able to skate over bumps, not anti-rocker, be able to turn, you know, push a stroller, walk a dog, or just go out and skate with some headphones. I would get the 72s. I think you'll have a much better ride with that. Again, if you want to go a little bit faster, get the 80s. You're going to have more coast. You're going to have a much smoother ride. You're also going to be a little bit taller. They're all pretty low, but you're going to be a little taller with the 80s. Sam Dynamo 92A would be good enough. Yeah, I think 92A is going to be good. We are planning some things, so we'll see if we can make it happen. Do you know of any degreaser for bearing cleaner that isn't awful for the environment? Ugh. So usually they recommend orange cleaner. That is not great. I usually use the 99% isopropyl alcohol, I think it's called. It's just, you know, the really high proof alcohol that you put in, you slosh it around and clean them out. I think you can use acetol as well. I don't really know the difference, but either of those will do well. I've heard that the orange stuff doesn't clean off super well, so it kind of leaves a little residue on it. You don't want that on your bearings. Honestly, I don't clean my bearings, so I'm the worst person to ask for that. But I've heard that isopropyl alcohol, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the 99% alcohol is probably the best. I don't think it's too bad for the environment. I mean, it's all relative, right? I wouldn't use any crazy chemicals or anything like that, though. I think rubbing alcohol is probably safe enough. Eric Lopez, team member edits. I'm assuming you're talking about Chroma Compass or Fitty Fitty. Yeah, we have a lot of edits in store, maybe even a VOD we've been working on for a little bit. I don't have anything to announce yet, but definitely plan on having more edits. A lot of the skaters are in snowy areas right now, so it's really difficult for them to get out and skate, but do what we can. Definitely plan on doing more social in the future, definitely plan on doing more videos in the future, because that's what we're doing it for. You know, everybody out there is skating. We want to make sure that we can share what we're doing. We have an amazing group of people skating with us, so let's make sure that we can highlight their skating. Fitty Fitty ownership bias aside, have you tried Create Originals before? They get a lot of praise, but stock and availability have been impossible for years. Judo Sushi Surada. Sorry, I should have said your name first. Good question. I have not skated Create Originals. 2 reasons. The first was when I first came back, I didn't really want to. You know, I skated Fitty Fitty frames, and I didn't see anything that Create was doing that was unique. It looked to me just like a standard frame. You know, I didn't skate any frames. It wasn't just Create, but I wanted to skate my Fitty Fitty frames. The Wish frame was the first real frame that I skated that I was like, this is different. I need to skate this. So I skated Wish frames for a long time. I did skate Featherlights for a bit, especially when I'm reviewing skates. I'll review the frame that comes with it. So I've skated Featherlights, I've skated the Rollerblade blank frames, I've skated the K2 unnatural frames. I've skated, let's see if there's anything else up there. The Volo frames, but the Rossi's frames, I guess now on the Majesta, the Fifth Elements. So I've skated a bunch of these frames. Creates have always been, again, this kind of frame that I've never really had access to. I don't know that I would have bought them, but I do own a pair now. I don't know that I would have bought them to skate though. I bought them because I want to see what makes them so great. You know, I have an appreciation, I have a wall full of frames, and it's silly to not have a pair of Creates on there. I think they're an important frame. A lot of people love those frames. So I wanted to make sure that I had a pair so that at least I could see what makes them great and try to figure it out. I haven't skated them though. They don't have hardware. I hear that Fitty Fitty hardware will fit. I haven't tried it. This was during the drought, so you know, I think they kind of go up and down with having product availability. I know that you can get them now with the Montre sways. They brought back a bunch of them, and then they have the Montre inserts, so you can get Create Originals frames now. I don't know how long that'll last. I think you're right about the availability. Frame business is hard. You know, how often do people buy new frames? Once every year, 2 years? Like, it's not one of those things that you buy often. Bearings, wheels, heck, you probably buy boots and liners more often than you buy frames. And then, you know, poor Antirocker Wheels way at the end of the line. You're never going to replace your Antirocker Wheels, right? So I think it's hard to be just a frame business, and Create just doing frames is a difficult business to be in. I don't know what their future looks like. I've heard nothing but good things about them from people who skate them. So if you can get yourself a pair, get yourself a pair. I won't be skating them because I just don't skate other frames. I feel like it's a weird thing, but they must have something good going for them, or you know, they wouldn't bring them back, and they wouldn't have so many people passionate about it. There's a lot of people that's all they'll skate, and they come back and they stock them up, and they buy hundreds of them, and they just put them in a box, and now I've got enough for, you know, dozens of them. Now I've got enough for the foreseeable future. So, good question. I do have a bit of a bias, so I want to make sure that I try to disclose everything, and I don't want to speak poorly on things. I skated the Mega frames, and I felt kind of conflicted on them because I didn't really like them very much. So I was trying to come up with good things to say, and then I kind of caught myself. I'm like, you know what? These frames just aren't for me, and that's fine. There's so many different frames out there with so many different designs. For me, though, owning a frame company, I've got to make sure that I keep that aside. You know, I just don't want anybody to think that I'm flooding with compliments or, you know, flooding with negativity, trying to better my position or, you know, compensate for a bias. So it makes it difficult. Great question, though. This is when I will talk. I won't talk, on like a Gear Talk video or a skating video where I won't skate the frames, but I'll be honest with you about it on Gear Talk. City blades. Did you have a Wii Fit? Yes, it sucked. It was so bad. I had the Wii Fit. I had the Wii Fit Plus. It's just, it seemed like the sort of thing that like was trying to do what the Ring Fit was doing, but it wasn't working the right muscles, It just missed the mark. Wii Fit was, here's a challenge, take the challenge. This Ring Fit is an adventure, and every day I'm going further and further along on this role-playing game. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's again, you got to try it if you haven't already. It's very different than any other fitness game that I've ever tried. Sammy, I'd love to see a history of 50/50 video. I've done a 50/50 Gear Talk where I talked a little bit about that. I think that is probably what you need. It walks through everything that's going on with 50/50, past, present, future. You could do a Google search for it. It's up there. I think I get into it pretty deep. And I also have done a lot of podcasts talking about it. So if you ever do a search for me in podcast, you'll probably find it. I talk I'm pretty open about this sort of thing. Again, my goal here is to bring skating to the masses. It's not to get rich or anything. So I'm not trying to jack anybody over or, steal anything from somebody. All I want to do is make cool products. And yeah, this is one of the ways that I do it. So, Killbot 350, thoughts on best wheel combo for medium wish frame. I had 65 and 58 apex, but I hit frame if I turn right and eat it. Would love if 50/50 would make a matching profile for them. It's a good question. The 65 is going to be your problem. I skated the apex or the medium wish with the 65 Go Projects and the 58 Dead Wheels, and that was a pretty good match. I think that would be my best recommendation. 58 is weird because we make a 58 that has the, like the China's, let me get them. So this is our 58 profile, which is Apex's profile. I think they use the same mold. This isn't great for the middle wheels of a wish frame. I do hear that sometimes they rub. And unfortunately, that's a problem that you're not going to be able to fix with a different profile on the outside. The wish frame, I think, was designed for more of a rounded profile wheel. Getting yourself some of those 58mm dead wheels is probably the best bet. That's the roundest 58 that I know of. You could go even further and get some undercover was. That's the square profile 58. That would give you a bit of a magic rocker. It's another option. But I would definitely stick with the 65s that you have. Get some dead 58s. Maybe even those hard 95s for the inside. I think you'd really like that setup. All right, I think we are done. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's a great time in blading. Even though a lot of us are in snow and dealing with rain and dealing with cold, we are shipping like mad. I can't believe how many orders went out this week. The China wheels came in, the compass frames finally went out. It is going to be a really big year. You can tell already that shops are getting ready. They're selling through stuff. I'm getting repeat orders of things. Do your best that you can. You're one of those that are clued in. You can be a blade ambassador in your community. Always go out and skate. And when you go out and skate, keep a positive attitude. It's important that you help contribute to the community. If you see somebody rollerblading, say hi. It's cool. Just say hi. If they ask you questions, don't be a jerk. Your session might get interrupted for a little bit because somebody wants to ask you what your skates are or how you're doing grinds. That is a good thing. Like, your session isn't just for you to go out there and skate anymore. Your session has to include being a blade ambassador, telling people to go to Back to Blading and find videos of how to do tricks. Go to Acosta Blades, go to Lino, go to Tiago, go to all of these different YouTube channels. Learn about rollerblading because there's so much great information out there. They just don't know where to ask. So if they see you out there skating, do the right thing. Make sure that you take the time. Direct them to a shop, direct them to a YouTube channel, show them the basics, invite them to the Facebook groups or whatever that you've got. I think this is going to be a really big year. And just based on, my perception, seeing people randomly skate on the trail, that's new. The amount of orders that we're shipping out, that's crazy. It's going to be a really big year. So do what you can to be a blade ambassador in your neighborhood. Go out and skate as often as you can. Share your love of blading and make sure that you keep a positive attitude whenever you go out. If you have any questions for me before the next show, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Please feel free to send me an email on the contact form. Like I said, I am going to be going through them this weekend now that I have a little bit of downtime. I don't know about the live stream this week since my shin is still kind of healing. I probably won't be skating this week. I might skate this weekend. I hope to finish up my Razors Shima review this weekend, so that might be the video that I release. But yeah, I hope everybody is having a good evening. I hope everybody has a good week, and thank you for joining me tonight, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks.